Welcome to my channel. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Before taking over as creative director of WWE from his father-in-law Vince McMahon, Triple H was a prominent in-ring competitor for the organization. Maven Huffman recently discussed the game's supposed distaste for him during his time in WWE in an interview. With virtue of her victory in the first season of Tough Enough in 2001, Maven was offered a contract with WWE. After disqualifying WWE legend The Undertaker from the 2002 Royal Rumble match, he began a rivalry with the champion and went on to hold the Hardcore Championship 3 times. After 4 years, Maven's tenure with WWE came to a close in 2005. Unfortunately, plans to have him commentate for WWE in 2020 fell through because to the COVID-19 epidemic. Legends like Batista, Randy Orton, and The Rock were among Maven's ring partners during his time with WWE. On Raw after WrestleMania 18, he was also a part of Brock Lesnar's seminal debut. Despite the unusual route that led him to WWE fame, Maven is certain that Triple H would have jumped at the same chances if they had been presented to him. Maven Huffman's YouTube account is a treasure trove of anecdotes from his wrestling career. Nearly 50,000 people have subscribed to the 47-year-old's channel. Tales of feuds and intrigue behind the scenes in professional wrestling seem to reverberate more than the resounding chants from fans during matches. One such anecdote has a 3-time champion who openly discussed his feelings of being overlooked and misunderstood by none other than Triple H, a pivotal player in WWE. This story is about more than simply wrestling. It's a story about overcoming adversity and coming out on top. For the sake of this narrative, let's refer to our protagonist as Ryan Steele. He was a professional wrestler who worked his way up the independent circuit, winning over fans with his spectacular acrobatics and magnetic personality. Despite not being born into the wrestling industry, Steele fought his way to the top by sheer force of will and skill. His unique approach combined technical wrestling with lucha libre techniques, and his narrative prowess elevated each battle to a spectacular spectacle. Joining WWE gave Steele the false impression that he had accomplished his professional career goal. Immersed in the industry, he dreamed of moments at WrestleMania and the chance to win the title. At first glance, everything seemed good. Soon after becoming a fan favorite, Steele won the Intercontinental Championship, demonstrating his worth as a wrestler. But something else was happening behind the scenes. Professional wrestler Triple H, aka The Game, divides fans. Many consider him a genius who shaped WWE's current age, a legend, and a 14-time world champion. Others see him as a gatekeeper who selects who gets the spotlight and who remains in the background. Unfortunately for Steele, he ended himself on the receiving end of this dynamic. Years later, in interviews, Steele would describe how he believed Triple H had an innate distaste for him. "You can feel when someone isn't in your corner," Steele said, adding that it wasn't overt. "It builds up. The glances, the silence, the disregard for your thoughts." The story goes that Triple H often thought he was too indie and not marketable enough to appeal to WWE's mainstream fans, according to Steele. The atmosphere behind the scenes at WWE is very cutthroat. In addition to delivering in the ring, wrestlers must also deftly maneuver through complex webs of friendships, rivalries, and politics. Even though Steele wasn't alone in having problems, he didn't get anywhere because of how vocal he was. Some wrestlers could have gone along with it, but Steele opted to fight back. He presented radical concepts for his persona that were at odds with Triple H's goals. "I remember pitching this storyline where I'd feud with a top heel and eventually win the WWE Championship," recalled Steele. The production crew was very into it, but Triple H killed it. According to him, "You're not ready for that spotlight. It was quite disheartening since I felt prepared. Being benched at a large pay-per-view was the last straw for Steele. He was one of the most beloved wrestlers on the team, but he was benched in favor of individuals he thought weren't worthy of the spotlight. "That was the moment I realized it wasn't about talent," said Steele. "It was about who was in Triple H's good graces." Within the wrestling community and among spectators, rumors started circulating. Why wasn't Steele playing a more significant role? Some thought it was because he wouldn't fit in with WWE's ideals, while others pointed the finger at Triple H's obvious prejudice toward independent wrestlers. The career of Steele seemed to come to a standstill, and his annoyance level rose, for whatever cause. Regardless all the obstacles, Steele persisted. He played some of his finest matches ever after directing his anger into his play. The wave of fan love he received was so great that WWE couldn't turn a blind eye. The corporation decided to give Steele another chance after she was the target of social media campaigns and loud protests during live performances. Suddenly, Steele found himself embroiled in a high-profile dispute, which led to his third title. The win was met with mixed emotions. According to Steele, it felt like validation, but he knew Triple H wasn't the one who made the decision. It was the spectators. He was coerced into doing it. In the end, Steele decided he wanted more creative freedom elsewhere, so he departed WWE. When asked about his time at Triple H, he reflected on how the firm had shaped his path. Did Triple H actually despise me? Yes. Would I say that made me stronger, though? Sure thing. I had to struggle harder since he didn't give me anything. When Steele wasn't working for WWE, he was a superstar for companies like All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Years later, having earned the respect of his contemporaries and fans alike, he made a triumphant comeback to WWE. In spite of all that has happened to her, Steele has managed to persevere. People that want to stop you from succeeding will always be skeptics, whether you're a professional wrestler or not. Success isn't about avoiding problems, but about conquering them, as Steele's story shows. Rather than defining him, Triple H's alleged hate of Steele served as motivation for him to prove his worth. In addition, Steele accomplished something more important than just winning championships. He won the respect of his peers and the unwavering devotion of his supporters. A quotation from Steele states, "You can't control how others see you, but you can control how you respond." This is a remark that Steele often makes while interviewing. Always be there, keep fighting, and give your task the attention it deserves.